What is up, everyone? As you guys know, we just recently finished a refresh on the Porsche 964, and I have taken all week to use any opportunity I could to drive this thing. I put so many miles on it in the last week. This whole weekend I was out driving around, having a blast, and I've built quite the opinion on this car, and I feel very in tune with it. I really wanted to share what my thoughts are on my first air-cooled Porsche. If you guys don't remember the story, this car came from Japan. This was originally built in Japan. It was imported to Ireland, and I found the car in Ireland, and I decided to, well, import it into America. When we got it, the car was running a little rough. It wasn't properly maintained on the drivetrain, so we felt the need to drop the drivetrain right out of the thing.
We're Porsche mechanics, boys!
Hell yeah, baby! And get a full refresh from the rip, so we knew it was good and healthy, because these things are too temperamental and too expensive to play any games with. While I was out, we decided to redo everything and kind of rewrite the script, put all modern sensors on it, put a modern ECU on it, put a standalone, make a harness, everything, put it back in the car, and it has been running amazing. As you can see, the engine's looking fresh and clean, and it has been running absolutely amazing. It's the Porsche 3.6 flat 6, the standard engine that came in the NA C2 Porsche 964. It is the original engine to the chassis, and it has been treating me amazing since we gave it a full refresh. The outside of the car isn't very standard issue 964. It actually has a wide body that was installed when it was in Japan, and it's also on some pretty meaty SSR SP1 wheels. Now there's a whole history we've been trying to kind of unpile about the car, since it is kind of a mystery where it came from and how it was built in Japan, but the facts are aligning, and we're trying to put together a pretty cool story for you guys. I really want to make that video special, so just hold off with us just a little bit longer, and hopefully soon we will have the video on the history of my Japanese wide-body Porsche 964. If you're curious, it actually looks a little bit different than most wide-body 964s, and that is because it actually has a 993 style body kit on it. So if you look at it, like, the arch isn't as progressive as you would get on most 964 kits. Usually they curve down, this one curves out, like the headlight of the 993. This is a 993 GT2 style kit. For some reason, it looks amazing on the 964. It's so bulbous and beautiful. These things have quite a presence, but for now, let's go for a drive. So the first question I always get when anyone sees this car is, yo, is that thing fast or what? And the answer is, no. It's not fast, right? This is an NA model. Obviously there's a turbo version, and maybe that thing is peppy, but the NA 964, it isn't a fast drivetrain. It's not unsafely slow like some cars. Like it'll get you out of the way in traffic, but you're not writing a review on how quick these cars are. But you can tell that Porsche like knew what they were doing, because it feels like it has such a beautifully balanced power in the car, where maybe it would be nice to have more power in a straight line, but it still creates a really fun, engaging driving experience. I guess we'll talk about the driving experience first. You hear all these guys like talk about like, oh, once you drive an air-cooled Porsche, you'll never go back, it'll change your life. And like, I haven't really driven on the track much at all, but driving around the street, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's a vibe. Like, I don't want to just sound so cliche and be like, yo, it's so sick, like, but there's something very lovely, calming, and just engaging about the driving experience of this car. The inside of the car is stock, right? But I feel so at home in this thing. I actually fit, like, it's a little snug, but for such a small car, I'm 6'4", I fit. In technical terms, it's a vibe. Weird things about the car, which makes it a little bit different than most, is the pedal assembly is a little strange. I don't know if you can see it, it's a little dark, but all the pedals are actually floor mounted, right? Oh God, there's a truck coming. So all the pedals are floor mounted. Instead of it hanging from the firewall like where you're kind of used to, they're mounted on the floor like a pedal box. It messes with your head a little bit because it's a different leverage point that I feel like the average driver isn't used to. It's not that it's super strange, but it's definitely a different experience than what the average road car feels, and it gives it a more, we'll say, aftermarket track experience. But one thing that is weird is the pedals are so close together. I don't know if Germans have little feet or something, but like the pedals are on top of each other. And I can assume that's probably for some motorsport reasons of being able to heel toe and keep your feet together and be quick. But as a street car, definitely miss the clutch pedal here and there.
just worked,
What the? No fucking way! No way! Me and Spoon spent a whole afternoon trying to get that thing to work.
I thought you guys fixed it.
No, it's amazing! The window works! It's a German car, right? It has its wiring issues. When we got this car, nothing worked. No lights worked, no nothing. Everything works with even the passenger window. Nice. That's amazing. So it's a Porsche, right? So everyone talks about the handling of the chassis itself. But as far as track time on this car, I don't have that great of an input. The first time I ever drove it was at Mandela Park. We brought it on the track. It was wet out and dry out of tires. The car wasn't running amazing. And it was a really hard engagement of how well this car handles. I kept spinning the car out. It was deadly. All I've had is some back road experience, right? This thing isn't the gnarliest gripped up car I've ever driven. And I look down, I'm going 20 miles per hour faster than I thought I would. So it's almost more impressive that I don't feel like I'm pushing the car to the limits. And I look down and I'm going, and these are roads I drive every day, so I know how fast I can usually go on them. It has actually been surprising me immensely. Side skirts. Oh. That was incredible. That was incredible. If I knew the road, I think we can go a little bit harder, but dude, I think it's a little more fun when you don't know the road. It keeps things exciting. Oh, dude, that's incredible. I love the back and forth of cruising the car in a calm state. It's so smooth and so nice, but then ripping on it in a frantic state, it handles it so well. It just is such a good balance of the two. Like, it's classy, but it also gets down and dirty, if you know what I'm talking about. What a good slow car, oh my god. You just get to drive it. You just rage on it, and it behaves so well.
10 tenths.
10 tenths. Brakes work great too. One of the most wild things about this car is honestly the looks I get driving it around. Like, I don't know if it's the wide body kit, the Porsche itself, or what, but I've never had a car that has broken so many necks in my life. And it's crazy because it's a spectrum, right? You'll drive like an S15 around, a 30, 20-year-old kid, or man, I guess, like, they're like, wow, that's sick, right? No one else even, it looks like regular traffic. You drive this around, you'll have the grandmother, the father, and the two sons all freaking out. You know what I mean? It's just, it has such a presence to it, and it's wild. Like, it looks mean, it looks expensive, it looks exotic. I don't know what it is, but it really catches everyone's eye. And sometimes, honestly, it's a little much because you're just like, come on, I just want to drive. I want to drive my nice car. You know? Other times it's like, sick. You know, like being a car guy, like you get a thumbs up, it makes your whole cruise, right? So that is one thing this car definitely gets, and that is a lot of broken necks and a lot of thumbs ups. Now, the thing that really sells it to me, and I know you hear this from a lot of people who talk about the Porsche, especially, you know, the air-cooled generation, the rawness of the car. I love how analog this car is. I feel that I am connected to the car, and I'm connected to the ground, and I know exactly where the car is, what it's doing, and it is giving me a direct experience back. What really kills me on newer vehicles is the disconnect. You know, they try to make them easier to drive, more comfortable to drive, and realistically, to me, it ruins the personality of the experience. This, you feel every bump, you feel the grip on all four corners, you feel the steering input, you feel the drivetrain in your ass, you know what I mean? Like, hey yo, but you feel it, like your whole body takes it in, like you feel like you're one with it. It just makes for such a lovely driving experience, and it makes you not want to get out of it. This old clunky thing, it's just so good. One thing I did do a little different is the 964 comes with power steering, right? unlike the previous models, and we were missing quite a bit of it, and I was told by a few enthusiasts that they're almost more enjoyable to drive with no power steering. So I've been driving this thing no power steering for a week. It's not the easiest car ever in parking lots to drive around with no power steering, probably because I have 10-inch wide wheels in the front. But honestly, at no point in the last week of me putting all these miles on this car have I been like, man, I messed up, I need power steering in this thing. It would be probably kind of nice for like parking lots and stuff like that. When you're driving it, the lack of power steering makes the experience way more involved, exciting, and just the connection is unmatched.
This great development we can have further develop the opportunities for young men. No less today as there were a few years ago. I think so. That's needed. The young man makes up his mind to work. There's no limit to what he can do. To be makes up his mind to go ahead without the idea of that's what can study and work. He must go back in any art as far as he can to dig up the very beginning. And he must, the more he goes back, the further he will be able to see ahead.
All right, now it's probably a good time to talk about the downfalls of this car, right? What don't I like about my air-cooled Porsche, my 964? Let's talk about the fact that it's an old car. It's a 1990. It's past its shelf life, right? These cars were kind of built to last 15 years. So the age shows. Obviously, some were better kept than others, so they are in better condition, but the average car is old. It's creaky. The leather's old, the screws are old, the plastic is old, you know, things are worn out and worn in, which is obviously part of its charm. My stife here is these cars are so damn expensive. Anything from the G models to the 964s to the 993, they are astronomical. And of course, just like everything else in car world, during the COVID years, we'll say it, they went through the moon. These cars cost so much money. And are you getting the smiles per dollar? Is this car actually worth it? That's the big question. It's just the same old metal, glass, and leather that anyone else uses. They put their own touch to it. The electronics are old. The ECU management old. Everything on the car is old. I mean, the original headlights of these cars are basically holding a candle to something. It's rigid, it's raw. Compared to modern standards, it's not the highest end thing in the world. Can you touch the beauty, the styling, the legacy, the driving experience, the rawness of these cars? That's the whole thing. That's the strife of this thing. Is it worth the money? The benefits of the car, though, being so desirable and being worth so much is there actually is quite a bit of aftermarket support for it. Some of the OEM parts could be expensive. Most of them are still pretty easy to get. I was able to get almost everything I needed off of Pelican parts alone. It was all pretty manageable. There's some random bits about the car that are astronomically expensive, but overall, most of the components in a stock format are pretty affordable. When it comes to the interior stuff, of course, that can get quite expensive, especially if you have a rare color or something like that. But if you didn't mind the aftermarket components of running aftermarket door cards, aftermarket carpet, aftermarket seats, it really doesn't get much more expensive than the next car. I think things do have a Porsche tax and they cost a lot more than they should. What's nice is the support behind them, because we've seen a lot with the old Japanese cars is a lot of the support is starting to fall off. This one is still hot and heavy. So here's the thing, right? What's the biggest downfall of this car? To me, it is the value of the car. It makes you nervous to work on it. It makes you nervous to rip on it. It makes you stress the owning of the car way too much, where it was meant to be enjoyed and it's meant to be a driver's car. These cars obviously are, to me, an art piece, but they were really built to be driven and enjoyed. And it's been very difficult to justify that for a lot of people because of the value. If these things were worth the same price as the 240s, I'd have 30 of them. You know what I mean? Thank you, man. Everyone loves it. And the fact that it'll always leak oil. It'll just always leak oil. That's it. Except that now, if you buy air-cooled Porsche, it's leaking oil. I don't care what you do to it. It's part of its charm. All right, boys, so this is when we move on to what are the future plans of the car, right? And we have Grant Anderson as our co-host.
I like this one. This is a good talking point.
It's a good one,
excited
right?
for this.
Grant was also a fellow Volkswagen kid back in the day, and this is kind of like the end goal for a Volkswagen.
Let me guess. Weicher's half cage, pole position.
Stop. There's a recipe that's just
there's a
good.
recipe.
So here's the thing, right? So we got the car like this from Japan, and I've never been the one to buy a previous project, right? Especially a previously wide-body car, but for some reason, this just already feels like mine and at home. It's pretty wild. I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah, and I feel like a car of this caliber, it's okay to buy modified, especially since you already tore it down, rebuilt everything.
like
It's already yours. It's already
Thank
yours.
you. And the legacy and the story behind the car, it almost makes the car fit me even more than the stock one, right?
for
So,
sure.
which we'll talk about later on. But so here's the thing: the outside of the car is pretty rough. It was fixed a million times between all the fiberglass on the car, and like the car was crashed in the front. It was half fixed, and so my end all goal is to make the outside look the same, but beautiful, to actually fit the kit perfectly, to make it all one color, because right now it's 7 different colors.
Really? That's the plan?
Yeah.
Oh, I like it. I like it. I like it. I didn't know.
So,
Just asking.
but to get to that point, I wanted to start from the inside out, because I wanted to enjoy it as much as I can until we had it ripped apart and I made it too pretty, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we were just ripping on the back roads. We were bottoming the car out. It was a blast. And I'm not worried about rock chips right now. We're driving this thing in the rain. It's been really, really nice. I really want to not get that out of my system, but have those moments, right? The drivetrain dialed it. It runs amazing. It's leaking only on the case, which Porsches do. It's fine.
You know what that means?
What's up?
It's got oil in it.
It's got oil in it. If it's leaking
Perfect.
oil, it's got oil in it. So,
I haven't seen this, by the way.
you haven't seen it?
No.
Beautiful. Damn. I have some wire management to do, but beautiful, right?
Oh, it looks so good, dude.
So it looked weathers.
Did it?
It was bad.
I love it. It looks great.
Next thing is we did our provisions. We got the engine happy and healthy. We got everything looking brand new. We put all the monitor sensors on it. We put a standalone on it. Now it's time to boost the damn thing. I want to turbo it. Turboing it's a little scary for 2 reasons. One, right now the car actually feels amazing. It feels well balanced. It's very enjoyable to drive. Like, honestly, if I had to leave it this for the rest of my life, I would be happy.
Yeah.
And the second scary part about it is these engines are astronomically expensive. It's stupid. It's just stupid. Go on eBay and look how much this engine costs.
I don't even want to look.
It's dumb. So is turboing an engine scary? Very, but talking with a lot of people and seeing a lot of previous builds, these things tend to hold decent power in very sketchy ways. I've pulled up a lot of old forums of these guys slapping turbos on here, putting an FMU on it, not even a standalone, just an FMU, which is a fuel pressure increaser by boost,
By
right?
boost, yeah.
And just sending it making 450. If dudes can get away with that,
Link got you covered.
I got the link, I got the injectors, I got the monitor field, I got everything, all the provisions done. Slap a turbo on it, and I can make this thing running good. But I don't want to make big power. This thing, it doesn't need to make big power.
I bet even if it made 100 more than it made,
It would be incredible.
it'd be incredible. Yeah.
And I want the noises.
Yep.
And I want the experience, right?
Yeah, and turbo Porsche noises are A+.
Different. So,
Different.
turbo fits very nicely behind right here. We have a picture of it. It fits so good. So my next goal for this is to actually turbo it. I want to make 350 horsepower. It'll be incredibly fast. It'll feel incredibly fast at 350 horsepower. It'll make all the right noises, and it's the experience of getting to work on this car. Because as you guys know, I'm a hands-on guy. I get my fix out of cars by modifying them. But before we get into any of that, the first thing I want to get into next is the interior, right? Trying to enjoy this in the most optimal way. Got the drivetrain healthy, and now what's the next part that you are connected to the car? That is the interior. This is a huge part of the driving experience. This is where you're living when you drive, right? The interior is not bad. It's not the worst, you know, like it's all here. It's not horribly cracked, it's not horribly falling apart, it's not really creaky, but I want to make it sportier, right? Right now it has a blue interior, which is kind of cool. It's blue and blue. You might not notice it because it's dark blue, but I'm having a hard time figuring out if I want to keep the blue or if I just want to go all to black. That's gonna kill me.
I feel like you could find some really good blue seats.
I already bought the seats, but they go with the blue. They go with the blue. So my goal here is I want to do the typical RS package stuff. I want to do the simplified door cards. I want to get a back seat delete with the carpet, so basically it just does all the carpet in the rear, half cage, pole positions.
Knew it.
Clean up this I still have to run wires through the car to make my tach and my speedometer work, since we haven't gotten to that point yet because they have to pull out the interior to run the wires to the front from the ECU.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Minor details.
So I want to get the gauge work. I want to get aftermarket cluster in here so I can get all the information from the ECU, and I want to clean it up. Like right now we have all these switches from Japan that only this one works, and the rest of them I don't even know what they do, which is kind of horrifying.
Different.
There's some stuff that we need to go through, but realistically is door cards, seats, half gauge, cleanup, carpet.
Metal floor mats?
Oh, like floor plates?
Yeah.
I don't want to go that track with it.
Okay, I
So
see you.
I want to keep it like aggressive road car.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Wangan runner.
Like like I want to pull up and be like, oh, that guy parties.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he also drives it to the grocery store.
Yep. And to get ice cream on Saturday nights.
Interior, turbo it, and then restore the outside of it.
Love it. And I think it's a good timeline of how you want to do it too. Interior, you got to make the best because that's the part you see the most.
Exactly, you're enjoying
Right?
it the most. Now that it's running good, that's the next step of it.
Yep,
So,
I agree completely.
and then right now it's presentable, it's got its character to it, and obviously if you try to do everything at once, it gets overwhelming, you don't enjoy your car as much, and by the time you finish it, you're over it. That's
Yep.
just what happens.
Or if you even finish it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
One, the Jimmy Oak special that I've learned is one system at a time, right?
there you go, see?
One system at a time. I learn, I watch.
Yeah, I appreciate
I'm a
you.
subscriber, bro. One system at a time. Engine done. Interior next. Turbo. You got it.
Maybe the turbo comes in soon.
Yeah, that's
I
okay.
don't
The
know.
turbo can come whenever you want. We'll let that one slide.
I'm gonna start. All right. We'll figure this out. Okay. But for now, I hope you guys have been enjoying the Porsche content. There is much more to come. There is much more to experience. But for now, it's been an extreme pleasure, from working on it to driving it to learning about the history of Porsches in general and just encompassing the whole vibe of it. I've loved it. I wish they were freaking cheaper. That's a pain in the ass, but whatever. So for now, hope you guys enjoyed the video. You know the deal. Like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more content. And Grant,
Have a good night.